Hi, this is Natasha's English channel and this is class 3 of my YouTube course Business English in 22 classes. These are real English classes with a lot of practice and additional exercises. In this video today we will talk about word order in the English sentence and also about table of tenses. Before we start, you can download a free PDF workbook with all the materials for this video. See the link in the description. If you need additional exercises or you want me to check and provide feedback, you can find all the information about subscriptions in the description under this video. Okay, let's go. So today we're talking about word order in the English sentence, and in English it is very important to follow word order, especially if you are on elementary, pre-intermediate or intermediate level. In future, when you are more advanced in your English, you will feel more free to change the word order, but on this stage I recommend you to remember this word order because it can change the meaning or fluency of a sentence. So generally sentences follow the swamped pattern, and it consists of as subject. Subject can be I, you, he, or any other pronoun. It can be a name like Mike, John, or Kate. It can be a noun like my sister, dog, the dog, or doctor, or any other subject. Then V stands for verb. These are verbs like do or am doing, have done, have been doing, will do. So verbs in all different forms. It doesn't matter right now what verb we are talking about, auxiliary or main verb, but it is just the place where you put it in the sentence. Then O stands for object. For example, books, homework, or football. Usually it's a noun, and we will talk a little bit more about it later when we see the examples. Then M stands for manner. For example, slowly, quickly, fast, sadly. Usually the manner is an adverb because it's the description of the action. Then P stands for place, for example at home, in Paris, at work, in the park, or any other place. And T stands for time. For example, yesterday, in the morning, at 7 o'clock, or on Tuesday, twice a week, or today. So here is the pattern, swamped, swamped. Let's remember it. So here are some examples. My sister has done her homework quickly at home in the morning. This is a very awkward sentence, but yeah, I tried to put in this example all the pieces of this swamped pattern just to show it to you. So my sister here is a subject, has done is a verb, homework is an object. So object is actually what your action is directed to. So my sister has done what? Her homework. This is an object. Then quickly is a manner, at home is place, and in the morning is time. In our next example, we will see that we don't need to use all of the pieces of this pattern. Sometimes you can just use some of them, but the most important part and the most important rule is that you do not change the order. So you can just skip one of the pieces of the pattern, but you don't change the order. So for example, I'm going to Paris on Tuesday. You can see here we do not have any object or a manner here, but we do not change the order of the pieces of the pattern. So I is a subject, am going is a verb, and then to Paris is a place, and on Tuesday is time. And another shorter version of a sentence, we have a lot of short sentences in English, and that's why we do not use all the pieces of this pattern. Mike has read many books. Mike is a subject, has read is a verb, and many books is object. When we talk about word order in sentences, and swamped is the pattern for statements, right? Not for questions. We will talk about questions in a bit. So when we talk about word order in sentences, we need to remember that adverbs of frequency, such as always, usually, often, sometimes, rarely, or never, do not follow this rule because they go before the main verb or after the verb to be. For example, I always watch TV before dinner, or he's always busy. It is only true for these 6 adverbs of frequency. All the other adverbs follow a swamped pattern. So just remember these 6. Sometimes the sentence is made up of 2 smaller sentences. The smaller sentences are called clauses in English, and each clause follows swamped pattern on its own. So for example, I was walking in the park when I saw a bag on the bench. Here you have 2 clauses. The first clause is I was walking in the park, and the second clause is when I saw a bag on the bench. In the first clause you have subject I, verb was walking, place in the park. And in the second clause you have I subject, saw verb, a bag, object, on the bench, place. When is a separate piece of the sentence which doesn't go to any of the pieces of the swamped pattern, because it is just a word which is used to connect 2 small clauses in a bigger sentence. Alright, and now let's talk about word order in questions. For questions we have another pattern, and it is called quasm, where Q stands for question. Usually it's a question word like what, where, who, when, how long, or how much. Then A stands for auxiliary verbs, the verbs that help build different tenses in the English language, like am, is, are, was, were, do, does, did, have, has, had, can, could, will, would, shall, should, may, might, must. You can see last 2 lines here, can, could, will, would, shall, should, may, might, and must. They're modal verbs. They're a separate group of verbs, which we will definitely talk about in our next videos, but for now you just need to remember that they are placed in the A position in quasm. Then S stands for subject. We have already talked about subjects, and M stands for main verb. Go in, do, done, and so on. So here in the questions, it is important whether it is an auxiliary verb or a main verb. So you always put auxiliary verb before subject and the main verb after the subject. You should remember that. And also, as we discussed in swamped, it is not necessary to have all the pieces of this pattern in each of your question, because sometimes your question may not start with any question word like what, where, or who, right? Let's look at the examples and we will see. So the first sentence was my sister does homework quickly at home in the morning, and the question to this sentence can be when does my sister do homework? And here you can see that when is Q, question, does is an auxiliary verb, my sister is a subject, and do is the main verb. And homework is the rest of the sentence. There can be more words there, but in this sentence it's only homework. And then we have Mike has read many books, and you can see that if we want to ask about that very fact, we don't need here any question word, and that's why we start right away from A auxiliary. So has Mike read many books? Has is an auxiliary, Mike is a subject, and read is a main verb. Alright, now it's time to practice. Here you have 5 sentences with some mistakes in the word order. I also put on this screen the patterns, swamped and quasm, just for you to have them in front of you when doing this exercise. Take your time, look through all 5 sentences and correct any mistakes in the word order. Take your time, pause the video, and then we will check. Alright, let's check. The first one. What mean does market niche? And of course, the correct word order will be what does market niche mean? Number 2. How much it cost? The correct word order, how much does it cost? Number 3. He didn't sell yesterday his products. And the correct word order is he didn't sell his products yesterday. Number 4. Jack is traveling next week to London. He's traveling to London next week. And number 5, is coming your boss tomorrow? And the correct word order is your boss coming tomorrow? Alright, Great job. I don't think it was too difficult. So let's go ahead and talk about table of English tenses. This is something I already showed you in our previous videos, but let's talk a little bit more about it. So this table of English tenses is something I built up myself, trying to put all the necessary information per each tense with the examples, with usage, and also signal words. I have shown you already present simple and present continuous, and you can see that first part of each tense, for example, present simple, is form. Here you have small plus, it means that this is the form of a statement, then small minus, it's the form of the negative sentence, and then a question mark, it's the form of the question, how to form a question. And you have all the options for all different persons, both in singular and plural, so all the information is here. Next line is usage, where I put a note on when these tense is used. The next one is signal words, where I put all the words which can tell you that in this sentence you need to use this tense. And the last line is examples. Here you have usually 3 examples per each tense. So this was present simple and present continuous, which we already saw. And here, for example, you can see past continuous, past perfect, and past perfect continuous with all the same sections in each tense. You can download this table of tenses by clicking on the link in the description to this video. It is completely free and it is available in PDF and in Excel formats. I think Excel is a very useful format because you can make notes or make changes as you need. I'll be glad if you find it useful, and feel free to download it. Alright, this is it for today. Today we revised word order in statements and questions. We also talked about table of English tenses, and I told you how to download it and where to get it. Next time we will be talking about skills. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.